Now it's very important, we're going to talk about the truck. So it goes to the kind of category that you have to attack the full body. So if somebody is, doesn't protect seatbelts and tarsus and marsus, I guess you attack upper body. If the upper body is locked, more defended, then you attack more the hip. So good defense kind of dictates that. Because if you have bad defense, most people try to attack the upper body, harness the seatbelts, but it's very, very important that defense is good. So you, as an attacker, you're motivated to get exposed to all kinds of attacks. And it's good for a gym that people, attack the truck, attack the harness, seatbelts, tarsus and marsus, because everybody keeps everybody on their toes. Because if your turtle is broken, everybody attacks the back, nobody does the truck, go to competitions, and then it's harder because you're not exposed. So it's very, very important that good defense. And that's how you break also later the defense with sports. You take this, do that, do this attack, move that to other attack. So this is very important idea. So now let's talk about the truck. So Ronaldo do it. And now he uses usually the pull, and then the bottom hook gets in, and now we end up in a kind of, you could say bad position, but I love back escape. So it's if you make friends with the worst things in jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu doesn't look so bad anymore. So I really emphasize a lot of escapes because it makes the beginner's life very, very it's easier, not easy. So, and the key to truck is I have to keep my knee line open. It's kind of like leg lock stuff and kind of like open guard stuff. Just don't let people pass your knee line. So I will talk about elbows on the mat, so I can talk to the camera, but let's go. So if the knee goes in, so that means my elbow was out, so what I have to do, and now it's very hard to do the truck. Go. It's like I can lift my leg again and then block and pull guard. So as a defensive. So if my knee is actually already in the right position, it's very weird to do the truck. So I do the head on the mat. So go truck. So then I can, so if the elbow is in a way, it's not that efficient anymore. He has to really overreact to pull you, and that creates a lot of space. The space he doesn't want to create actually, so that it's so much space, and I can always pull guard. So or stand up. So as a defensive structure, we're not talking about the attacking here, just surviving. Somebody passed your guard, you want to turtle, you want to pull guard again, or you want to stand up. So we're not attacking at the moment. So it's really important that elbow is here. One more time. And they have even if they try to pull me, go. And then, block, pull, and everything is good. If they get the knee in, that means that was your mistake. If they get the knee in, block, and pummel in the elbow. And still do the same thing. Attacks can get more complex, but let's talk about the simple ones. So, again, he gets the knee in, my elbow was out, and now the problem is, now they're gonna bend my bottom leg. So, really, really important is head on a mat, block, get the elbow in. And now it's already, it's very hard to take the back also, even if they roll to take my back. This elbow is now here, and it's a wrong harness, and we can try to switch or whatever, so it's a combination attack. But if the elbow is here, the truck is very weird to do. They only get my ankle, so to speak, not the knee. So elbows, if elbow's out, get the elbow in, and again the same position, just lift the leg. We call it an active turtle also, we'll talk about later. So leg in and down, it's easier to pull guard and see, or even stand up. So standing up is one of the best ways to escape actually turtle if you talk about it. So now with the super hooks, also if he gets the hook in, and now he has more options like super hooks, and now he can roll to take my back and roll that way to fall back and also roll forward. And this rolling works when my both knees are on the mat. And so if he rolls, roll forward, and then you can end up in a bad positions and then they take your back. So, but if you lift your leg and get elbows on roll, should roll. The rolling is not happening actually, and then hook in, and then separate the hips, and then you're back. So definitely try that. It's a bigger mistake already, a bigger problem. You let the super hook in, you let them put the triangle on, hook, and then attack your hip. So there's more complex things happening there. But ideally, the same position, you lift your leg, and then hook in, and then after a turn, when your hook is in, it's harder because to take the banana splits and stuff, because if he takes the back with rolling, what he wants the legs separated, go. He wants my legs separated. So I actually want that my legs are here. And now I can fight them. So if I put the hook in right away and then we roll, I have a better chance to, you know, untying that knot. So it's, again, same move. Leg up, if you get exposed, leg up, hook in, separate the hips, and you'll be good. So another, that structure kind of kills the very good attack, what you should have in your arsenal, but having a good push position, it's not easy to do. So, and that's it. And now we move to the next one. Now we talk about wrist fights. So how to avoid harness and yes. So they try to get the harness, seatbelt, as many people call it, and then the key is the tight elbows and the wrist fight. So I little bit show it in a turtle. So usually it's easier when they move around left and right and then things happen. But let's show how it works. So the runner tries to take the harness. Go. And now I wrist fight here. Go. He tries to connect the arms, and I get the wrist maybe, and I grab here. So that basically it feels for him very silly, because if that's protected, it's really hard to get harness. So you have to, you know, push the arm in or lure the arm out a little bit to have access to this, or really like jam it like really aggressively. You know, that's why athletes are like, you know, athletes in a wrestling field, because they have to like use strength and stuff, and also technique. So, but it's, the structure has to be strong. And I use now to show this principle better than the arm fighting. I show through a panda. Then it's another position that happens before turtle, but it's more like, we call it upright turtle, upright side control. So his knees on a mat, and now you see better what's happening under the turtle. So what they want is harness, seatbelt. Yeah. So what I want a wrist fight, and I want to use the boxing shoulder to just, you know, avoid everything. So if he wants to get underhooks, like left and right, I just use my, even sometimes I lean, you know, I use my forearms to push the hip flexors like we talked about when you doing turtle. So go. This. So, and if he gets underhook, then you block and go. If they get like, you know, like this grip, it's like, you know, wrestling, you peel it off, elbow in, and same time you have to be crouched. So it's here. So if they try to get harness, go, both arms, harness, and then you grab. I usually grab the fingers. If I grab here, they can actually advance with the arm, and that's not. They can shove this arm off. They can grab the arm, push this, and then you have a harness also. So you have like a kind of Greco-Roman tricks, wrist fighting tricks. But if they come to the harness, I usually want to grab the fingers. The only way to go is pull the arm out again, because they can't go forward because the fingers, you know, they bend weirdly. So, and also one thing that I can grab like this, go harness, I can grab first like this, and now I grab this, kind of makes it also weak. And I can grab also fingers, but sometimes it's easy just to grab and then feed it, and then it's all good. If they get a harness, then I would like to control. I don't like this because they can go for a choke now, because it kind of arm is weak. So if somebody gets in harness, I want to get the top first, and then if they grab something left, but I control the tip here. So that then the choking is way harder. It still happens, and you have to defend, and then you kind of pull it back. You don't let things here. Then it's better for them and harder for me. So I want to keep it more open, so to speak. But the arm fight is when we're gonna play it a little bit. Go, let's play. So you use your boxing shoulder. You move around. They want harness. You don't expose, and you don't freak out. They let them come to you. Yeah. So if you like have we call it a crane neck, then it's really hard to protect. But really, here people freak out if I usually teach the seminar, because their partner is a little bit maybe sometimes too aggressive, and then you start to then you mess it up. You really have to be like move minimally. So go. You're here, the pressure in you, and if your position is good, it's really hard to get stuff, and then it gives you time to work. So if I do it in turtle, so do it again. Now the harder part is if I'm in turtle, it's not so easy to switch sides, because now it's one side and then you have to move the other side. Then the timing for me is way better. If he's in panda, if I'm in panda, then attacking both sides is easier for him, and it just makes my wrist fighting also better. So we do it in turtle also. So try to get harness. So elbows in, and protect grab the wrist, protect the neck. And kind of annoying to get, and this This gives you time to pull guard, to stand up. I would actually recommend for many just best ways doing no-gi, gi MMA and self-defense, just stand up all the time. Most people in turtle top won't expect that. So it happens if I do a lot of stand-ups, they put more pressure actually on me. So, and then it's easier to do maybe sweep and stuff. So, but it's just elbows. And you have to build that up gradually, very like nice drills and stuff, so they don't do those things. That's dangerous. If you do boxing, you start to do those, get punched in the face a lot. So really like drills has to be done right way. And then now it's already like a solid structure here. Like if you have turtle, like, you know, push and pull, elbows, neck is protected, you know, you can't get harness. Now it looks like already like how to maintain that structure. And you know, knees are wide, you look towards me. If I'm front side, you know, then you look forward. But this is already like how you build that structure. And then you have to train it with the resistance, you know, how it actually moves. It's not that it's very static. It looks static at the moment, but actually it's not very. So that's, next we're gonna cover actually the clock choke. So people usually have questions for that, and we're gonna use the boxing shoulder to kill that. So to stay on the video, and let's work the clock choke. Now let's do a clock choke. So wonderful choke, you should have it in your game. It's like a, you know, like a bow and arrow from the turtle. So first Ronald's gonna show it. So there's many versions of it. So and we're gonna show the head on the mat version right now. So he gets the choke, gets the arm in. You can actually grab here, grab the arm inside, and now he goes. And very good choke. So and the choke is gone when I have a good position. So the chokes later happen, they happen during transitions. It's very hard to attack that position with the choke, just get the arm and then choke. You have to attack the chokes during transitions, and that's a great skills that you have to train from white belts and to the black belt, and then it starts to work. So if the position is bad, you will just get the choke and go. But you never actually understand the window of the choke. Like, you know, throwing the jab is the same thing. It's not like I throw a jab, you have to throw a jab on a moving opponent. And so if your disposition is good, you will start to attack the choke during transitions when they go to the turtle or when they get out the turtle. And that makes your timing window like better. So good defense actually, it shows how the attacks should work. So we do the clock choke again. So first of all, use the boxing shoulder. And he sees like there's no chin, so even I don't have to do anything with the arms. Go. And even if he gets the clock, like it's not like this, and then it's kind of like a neck crankish. I really put my like a ear to my shoulder, and like I throw a punch, and I hide my chin. It's like for me, boxing and jiu-jitsu, and there's a lot of similarities. And I use a lot of boxing examples like you've seen during those DVDs that I explain jiu-jitsu through that. It just makes more sense to do it as a sport and just ideas that people get more through stand-up than just if I explain it through jiu-jitsu. And what they actually need for a clock choke is that arm. They need that inside space. So if now you see he's going to look for that inside space, it's kind of gone. So if he even gets the choke, hold on. And if they can't go put the arm inside here or inside the legs, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to choke. And one more thing is like I'm tilted towards him. So even if I'm like I want to do a really late choke escape, why not? Then it's easy to turn because he wants actually my face like ideally other way around. So if he gets a choke, and if he goes for a choke, then this. And this choke works even better if I just look away. But if I look towards him, so it also makes, you know, rolling, compensating a little bit, you know, even avoiding everything, it's easier. So definitely boxing shoulder. Then you can grab the wrist, definitely if you're looking for you know, stuff. You can grab their gi, you can grab their fingers like we did. But just avoiding everything, and usually people let go. And in that moment it's also very, let's say, easier to pull guard. So if he gets the choke, yeah, and now I just go, and I go. So those moments are kind of good. You can develop some sweeps from there. You can grab the sleeves, but the clock choke is not the problem anymore because the angle is all wrong. And this is, I'm not saying shocked many people, but most people are afraid of clock choke. But this kind of, the posture cancels it right away. So you don't have to worry about it. And I'm not saying clock choke doesn't work, it's a bad technique. It's just the setup is wrong. So I'm really like a big on those setups. If the structure is correct, then techniques still work, back takes and harnesses, but the setups has to be better. If the turtle is broken, then you don't see a lot of setups in jiu-jitsu. In wrestling, what you see is also, there's no single leg without the pull. Everybody, or if it's a double leg, everybody usually snaps first, they stretch and double leg. Boxing, we do always setups before you do a main punch. So in jiu-jitsu, it's rarely taught like that. It's usually like, okay, he's in turtle, I get a clock choke. So I think the setup part is really weird in jiu-jitsu. And I'm trying to fix that. I haven't learned jiu-jitsu like this myself, but I think we need to do something about it. That because the setups are not correct when the defense is good. So, but yeah, clock choke, don't worry about it, keep it, and you'll be fine. And we move on with turtle now. Now more about structure of the turtle. What actually top guy feels, and what I feel when people try to attack me is when the turtle is on their elbows, yeah. So usually people have like a harness and stuff, and they feel they can be in that upper butt. So take the harness, and they feel they can be here. As soon as I put my head on a mat, it usually people try to they feel is they fall over. So if I do it, just I put the head on the mat. So, and usually people tend to right away lean more back. So if they get the harness or something, I put the head on the mat. So most people go away right away to the hip area, and that's an interesting side effect because it makes turtle staying turtle a little bit easier. You can test that. Most people just go right away face plant and they understand, oh, what happened, and then they move back, and then kind of pulling the guard and everything actually becomes easier. And then they're like, let's say the weight replacement. It was also, I can see that in the hips or upper body. So other way they're in a mid area of things, and I don't like it. I want to feel whether it's the hip or the upper body. So definitely you will feel that side effect, that head on a mat, and people tend to lean more back. They're not rushing towards you like you usually see with elbows. But talk about the elbows is this. I actually play turtle sometimes like this. It's more fun. It's more open. I like to be like late. So when you get better at those things, you can start to break all the rules. You can play turtle like this and like that, but then when things go bad, you just pull everything in and try it again. So definitely expand on that, become artistic more with this, and try to bend the rules and see how they work. But as a beginner, if you start with this, try to keep it. And first you feel also kind of stiff. You try to be like this, like in boxing, somebody teaches you arms in and you're kind of stiff. But then you get used to it, and then they become relaxed. And then it's easier to move. Don't get tired in here. So this is a side effect and process of learning this. So understand that, and you'll be good. So now we move on. Now we talk about how to go to turtle. And I guess in this DVD, in this context, we try to go there the earliest we can, because there is a hierarchy of postures. You end up in more in side control, and then less side control-ish, and then you have to get to turtle from there. But it would need too much like pre-information how to stay in those positions and everything. So maybe it's future DVDs and how do I play side control. But at the moment we're showing let's say different ways of going to turtle very early. Like you're deciding guard is gone, how to go. So let's take over under pass. Over under pass. And if somebody does over under pass, there's different escapes you can do, but also if they put a pressure in, I can right away just go to my kind of twisted position in that way, and I can abandon the defense. Maybe kind of silly at the early stages, but try to pass. And then just work myself out and go to turtle. And then survive, pull guard, something. But it should be let's say I'm playing butterfly guard and then doing over under pass. And it's I'm not defending, and right away I'm shrimping my hips, elbows, head on a mat. And it's a struggle because they want to pick that leg up and everything, but most cases they can't pass here. They in most cases jump to the other side. And that's also when you go and when you stay in the turtle. So, and usually the near hook comes in, but you know, we mentioned that right away in some other clip. But that's just the position. They usually jump over, and if they even come over under, even if they come to this side, let's say I'm here, and they grab my head and try to get to the cradle, you know, and here you use that to go to the turtle, and then you avoid, I guess, 3 points. I would also recommend always go there because one of the best recoverers of the guard. You have certain techniques you can do there, like sweeps over and everything. But it requires more information of you as a beginner again. New techniques. So if you just have good open guard, let's say grilled chicken and some attacking stuff, and you have turtle, if you fail, just turtle and then pull guard again. And then by time, just doing jiu-jitsu, then yes, add those sweeps, against over under, or pull the shoulders and make them face plant, and add those techniques between. I'm not against those things, but first I think just as knowing less stuff in the beginning is better than guard, turtle, and then build like two extremes at the moment, and build the world between them later. But if you don't have turtle, then you don't have deeper escapes also, the ideas of those things, then you panic in the very early stages. But it's kind of weird to go there at first, like very early, but still I would recommend it. So. And also you can go away from turtle, so from the over-under pass. So if he does over-under from this side, and you can also go away, not turn in, but sometimes if they're already like a good position, now it's really too late to turn. So go. I will go here, and now if he then goes, and now I have to avoid the hooks and wrist fight and harness. Go, and I have to fight everything, and now in turtle. So you can go both ways. One could be, earlier in a way, kind of better maybe. One is later. So this, how my idea would work. And then during transitions, you have to manage all those hooks and everything else, because they will try to use it against you, and during transitions try to attack. If they don't know you have a good turtle, most people don't attack during transitions, and they try to attack the turtle. But as soon as they understand really quickly that you have a good turtle, they will be adapted and try to attack you transitions, and that's a very good thing. So you push, if you have a good turtle, you push people to have a better back attacks. So they have to thank you later in a way. So that's how I would use it against, example, over underpass. Now we're going to show the turtle ring against Turando. And again, you can turn inwards, you can do outwards. So let's try it. So in would be if they shoot like I do the Turanda. So you right away you use shrimps on a mat, and you go over and you go. Usually it happens they're going to behind you. So if you go in, so go faster, and you go. And those kind of transitions later actually are very good for escaping right away. We call this move actually a teles. You just go like, you pull in. So if he passes and he circles the head, I go. If he circles the head, I right away, we call this teles, does this a lot. So we call it the teles, and then arm goes in, and then, you block, and then go. So, but this again requires more knowledge, more thinking ahead. So if you're a more beginner, so just go to turtle, get your breathing back, calm down, survive, and then, pull guard. If you already know what you're doing, combining more moves is better, because it is, they can't follow you if you combine moves 3 to 5 in a row, so that's confusing for a top tier person. So definitely I would recommend that, but at first it would be very, very, let's say, not good to demand that from beginners, like do right away this. No, go to turtle, stay down, stay calm, and then move on. So, and turning away, you could say a little bit harder, but I could say also a little bit easier, because then when he does Turando, because if I turn in, wait, so he's already here. So this space is a little bit occupied already. So turning away, there's a lot of space there. He's not actually there, but you expose your back a little bit. But the key is do not turn like go to turtle like next to him. The key is do like a hitchhike motion. and then they have harder time. It's still possible to take the back, but they have harder time, so they need to adapt. So what I'm talking about, if I do it wrong, I just turtle like this. And now it's easier, yeah, for them. What I would want to do is like what I did when I faced them. So if I faced them, I did this. I didn't go here to turtle. I actually went closer them to turtle. So now if I move away from them, then I'm turtling like this. And if I have to do a tailless and catch them if they're following me, that's good. If I want to stay in turtle, that's also good. So they have to chase me. Let's go. You know, and even maybe I pull guard or stay in turtle. So that's the kind of idea that you have to manage that angle. And definitely the timing is important. When you start, it's like you can break with the rhythm there. Like don't go, then go. So they're kind of understanding you're not going and then you go. So it's a weird kind of like a broken rhythm, like a punching theory. So, but turning in, turning away, both are good. Don't let people tell you that, you know, one is bad, one is better. Don't turn your back, blah, blah, blah. So I would consider even I think like a small lie, because it's weak usually in people because they don't practice it. If you watch like say NCAA wrestling and they do like stand-ups from referee position, I think I've read that their success ratio is, you know, way over 50% because they train it so much. But it is a defensive position, and you know top guys should have advantage. So if you don't train that turning your back, it just gets worse and worse and worse, and your opponent's getting better at attacking the back, and you're just gonna be, you know, not good at this. So definitely train it. And know it comes with a, you know, burden of their attacking your back, but just train it and you get better at this. And definitely the drilling part then, you know, is important how to drill, so you actually have success, otherwise you abandon that move. So turn in, and you have a couple of different options actually. You can use the head on a mat, and also sometimes you can use your elbows to go to the knees. Because you have two options, like you have this and you have this. So let's do it again. If you have elbows on a mat, go. And so it's more attackable, and then you move around and elbows in. So, or you have like more attacking options there. But just go to the head on a mat and you'll be fine too. So depends on your level, you can be more attacking, you know, person in the bottom, or just like really defending and being called annoying, and that's usually a compliment when people say it. So enjoy that. So now we're gonna show some early versions how to use turtle, I guess, against the knee slide. So if you give everything away at first, if you give everything underhooks and everything, kind of hard to go. So that's the first thing. So if you feel like your guard is getting like passed and your knee slide, you just have to turn. And then the tricky part is, a lot of people grab this, yeah? And now these days, with all the leg lock stuff, they just do a back step and now you're in trouble. So, and I would not recommend it. If you do that, you know, you have some wrestling stuff going on here, you can bump and then go single leg and everything else. So right now we're not going there, but this one is squeezing. I guess if you do like IBJJF stuff, but example, I'm doing gi jiu-jitsu. I love both gi and no gi, but I do all the leg locks there also. We do gi, heel hooks in a gi. So we don't differentiate ourselves. If somebody wants to be an IBJJF competitor, go for it. And then our guys also, if they compete, I guess they do less heel hooks in a gi in a while. But you have to consider your jiu-jitsu should work against all those things. So just grabbing and stalling, just get heel hooked. So it's important how to know how the jiu-jitsu works, and then how it works in a maybe IBJJF environment. So this, why not? Maybe you can use it. But important one is you hide your elbows and everything, and then they can't have that bottom elbow, because if they get the bottom elbow, then everything starts to be harder. So your job as an early turtling, like if you play and you go, oh shit, you go, yeah? And now it's very important that if they move, usually they start to move, arm, a little bit, they do something, you can trim and then go to turtle. So they don't stay there also, maybe they circle. So, but just avoiding everything, avoiding hard, like a underhook, because you turn, avoiding the bottom elbow. So really like you gotta shut yourself down, and then you go to turn. So there is like an earlier reaction, probably you can build your defense there. There's like, more attacking ways also to attack knee slide and everything. But this is like if you go to turtle, you have to kind of abandon ship very early. Otherwise, it's very, very hard. So that's about it. So simple, just go, turtle, and get another chance because your guard got passed and you missed the opportunity to do the attack. So you have to go to turtle and try again afterwards. Now we can talk about near Saduk. Usually if you turn away from them, you have to deal with that back attacking position. And one of the things you have to deal with is a near Saduk. So I'm going to show you what it is and how they do it. So if I'm going to turtle like in a bad way or their timing is good, I'm tired. So you always have to expect that. It's a good way of taking the back or trying to, let's say, trying to attack the back. So if I'm going, I'm open, hook goes in, and then depending, they can go, you know, with the inert on or just they pull me back. Then we have the back, they try to attack my back. So you have to deal with that a lot. So it's better when you move with an angle. So you try to create a slack, it's always important. And then the bottom elbow actually is the one that helps you. And I'm going to use the posture we call running man. It's a little bit different than, you know, from the Saulo Rivera ages that he explained. So we have the elbow right under us, we turned. It's one of the 4 positions I use to explain side control. We don't, the sad part is we don't expand on those positions in this DVD. We talk about, I mentioned those positions I guess in some clips, but I don't expand on them. So there are actually 4 positions. And we're specifically talking about the turtle today more, so just one of 4. So, but we start from the running man, and I need his weight to be actually on the upper body. If his weight is on the lower body, I'm not going to turtle. So I'm actually going up and using the pandas and stuff. But I need that his weight is right in the upper body, so I cannot lift my upper body to go to like panda, let's say. And I use now creating angles. Let's move back a little bit. I now use angles and the sport also to create a slack a little bit and going to the knees. I use the elbow to block the bottom hook. So let's do it like, let's say slowly at first. So we go, and right away I'm gonna try to get that elbow in like we talked about, and now get out. So I can use also transition, like as a Tellez move. And he tries to take my back, you know, and right away I'm using that hook and then I pull guard. And if also I think it's acceptable when they get the hook in and then they try to pull me back, but they can't later. So that's also, but the very important one is I try to go to my knees with an angle, and I'm talking about the sporting aspects. So this is totally different topic in a way that I could expand on. And if I would have more time, you know, in seminars usually I talk about it, the sporting aspect of it. So a little bit we come here more. So now I'm doing this and I'm trying to now create an angle. So now I'm trying to, if I go to my knees, I try to get my butt there. And at first you try to move as much as possible, then you fine tune it down as much you actually need because you understand your level. But it's very dangerous to just move here to the knees. So if he has an angle, I usually walk a little bit and then I'm moving around. So we do it in a little bit like, let's say not 100%, but you know, with the speed a little bit. So I'm here and then I'm, you know, usually pulling guard, or I can have, you know, I can stay in turtle. So if I play this, so I can go away, and then it's really like a fast move and I move my butt away. And he has to adapt to this. It's still, you know, he's still gonna try to take my back and everything else, but they have to do a way better job. And they're adapting and attacking transitions. And this is like your gift to your opponent, that you have to get better. Because then you're attacking moving targets. Hitting pads, the same thing. If somebody's just, you know, standing still and you're hitting the bag or hitting pads and nobody's moving, you can look very cool, but you know, it doesn't translate to fighting a lot. You have to move on cooperative opponents. And so then it's a transferable skill. So moving targets and adapting, and that's the hard part. That's the sport part. What I also can do is I can do jab, jab, cross. So what I do, I back away with my hip a little bit to make them move backwards, and they don't know how many jabs I'm gonna do. Maybe it's a jab and go. Maybe it's a jab, jab and go. So what I mean by that is when I'm in running man,
I make them go a little bit backwards, and then I go forwards myself. So I have to feel what they do here. So here, I'm going here, and now I'm going. So even if they're like, pressuring me and stuff, I'm trying to move them a little bit. I'm trying to move, and then I'm moving myself. So because I'm moving them because I want to really feel their weight. And if they're leaning back, if they're not leaning back, if they're like, I'm pushing, they don't lean. They let them, and then I go. If they're pushing, then I do something different. If the weight is on my hip area more, I will sit up more. So this is a feeling process in the end. So I'm using like a boxing, like first couple of rounds, people are feeling each other out, what they do, what kind of patterns they have, and now they understand them. Now, okay, let's try to break them and try to hit you in the face. So I use this kind of sporting mindset also to explain jiu-jitsu and to do sports. So it's not only go to the knees, feel a little bit more, do this, do that, and see where the weight is, and then you go. So that's very important. So you can expand on this idea, but yeah, so just I feel that not a lot of people are talking about this thing. So it should be a sport, like not like a technique based. So keep that in mind and use it also. Now one more hook option to clear the hook is when they're more behind you. First we did like more sideways and hooks, and now they're more behind you and the far hook is in. So I'm gonna show you. You see that more, like a lot of UFCs also, you counter that. So the weight is more over you. And maybe they're here, I'm talking a little bit, my head should be on a mat and everything. But head on a mat, and now I grab the heel. So I grab the heel and I straighten that leg and I remove the hook. So how it looks like is, I'm gonna do this. So they try to attack me. And also if my elbow is in, then I'm just gonna do this. And then, but if my elbow is out, that's already a big mistake. Then I'm grabbing the heel, and I can't remove the hook just like that. I have to open, move, and now we see what will happen. Maybe a spin, maybe what they do it again. So the hook is in, it happens, they're behind, try to attack me also. So defending, the hook is here, and then you're here. So this happens a lot also because people are lazy with their hooks. Because hooks has to be attached to something. So like a super hook, like an inside tie, like they has to be put somewhere. If it's just like hanging there, it is more like easier to move. Even like if somebody takes my back, and so if I have a back position, then I use those things that I grab the heel and move that. And so hook has to be like there has to be like a click somewhere, or you can cross their ankles, and you can cross it here, or you go really inside here. So you play, or you get like those far hooks. So you have to play with hooks. There's many places you can put them. So just hanging them like that, they're easier, not easy again, but they're easier to move. So definitely I would recommend that if you play with hooks, then you try to use those super hook styles. That otherwise I will take the hooks out. So you will the top guy actually adapts and learns to hide their legs way better because the turtle is better. So this is one of the very good way to move them. If you're already two hooks in, then it might be already difficult. They can flash you out and everything else. But just one is very easy very easy to move. So use that too.